Hey everybody, hope you guys can see me. It is TA Tuesday and a lot of good stuff to share with you all today. But this sweatshirt is in honor of our Canadian truck drivers up there up in Canada. Hope they're all safe. Powerful show of force. Anyway, let's jump in. This is OCTA on-chain technical analysis. I'm going to talk about EADF, NVT, CDD, and a whole bunch of other things that I see. And a lot of bottom indicators and a lot of very bullish signs. And again, I'm not here to show hopium. I'm just saying and sharing what I see, and a lot of good stuff. So let's jump in. So first of all, math, money, and freedom. And this is a disclaimer: edutainment, and a ton of knowledge per minute as well. So let's talk about the market. It is overall a very green day. Everything is green with a few little exceptions, but some dark green too. Solana's dark green, super dark green. Elrond is dark green. Tezos, Kusama, Litecoin even, with a few notables as well that are red. Harmony One, Chainlink, Uniswap, and Phantom. So just thought I'd share that little overview. But overall, pretty good day in the market. Now, in some totally unexpected news. No, not at all. I did say last week we saw the spreads in Coinbase being way over asking compared to other exchanges. And I said live on video, I have a feeling Michael is buying. And he was. He bought 660 more Bitcoin. Now they have 125,000 coins at an average cost of about 30,200. So despite all the accounting stuff and everything else, they don't care. Their strategy is to accumulate as much as they can, sink every penny into Bitcoin. That's one of the cheapest buys as well they've had in quite some time. So the last time they got at that price, I think was around June, about 37K. They average about 35K this time around. So good job, Mr. Sailor. Now, another little bit of bullish news. Cory Klippsten, he's the CEO of Swan. I have to blow this up so you can see it. He said, it is really conservative to say there's a 90% chance of $1 million Bitcoin by the end of the decade. And he said that with a lot of conviction. That's a 27x in 8 years. Not bad. Not bad. So Cory's very bullish. So let's see. Now, another little bit of alarming news, as I think it was USA Today said, it's time to sound the alarm. National debt hits 30 trillion as economists warn of impact for Americans. That's not a good all-time high. Not at all. But the national debt, 30 trillion. It's very, very difficult to visualize exactly how much 30 trillion is, but it is a lot. So obviously it's been fueled by C19 and tons of money printing and unsustainable government spending and yada, yada, yada. But everybody, you need some insurance against this crazy out of control spending. And as I say, it's not like they can stop and reduce that debt. It's just the nature of money is it's got to keep on growing. So watch that space. 30 trillion, shockingly large number. Now, this is back to some good news. This is the Bitcoin Iceberg. Big thank you to Sanjay for sending it to me this morning. I really like this because I spent some time last year explaining the importance of time series investing, not timing things, although I like to time and snipe and stuff, but also the importance of understanding exactly where we are. And I still come across so much negative sentiment. Everybody's saying, well, arms are folded. I'm waiting for 20,000. Then I'm going to buy Bitcoin. And you got your, whatever that rich dad, poor dad guy is and all this saying 20,000, 20,000. And he has a lot of people sitting in their hands waiting for this opportunity. But it was pretty clear that the 33K last week was at the bottom. Now, if we look at the Bitcoin Iceberg, the cool thing about this is you got the people with the short-term view at the top. Okay, it's like Bitcoin price for 40,000, a lot of fear. Oh, bear market, crypto winter, world is ending, da-da-da-da, Bitcoin's an environmental disaster, all that negativity. It's going to be banned, government's coming after it. That's the short-term view out there, everybody. But it's important to shed that and not think in those terms because it'll lead you down to problems. We already know that Tonga is coming and a ton of other good stuff. But if you look at the long-term view below, you got Fidelity thinks other countries will adopt Bitcoin in 2022. Tonga is that. You got the new hash rate. Price follows the hash rate, according to me. Intel is building out new Bitcoin mining low energy chips. Bitcoin mining is greener than ever. Bitcoin reserves hit 4-year lows. I'll talk more about that in a minute too. Block, which is Square, wants to build the next generation ASICs out there. And Jack Dorsey wants to protect Bitcoin devs from lawsuits, and more and more and more. Fidelity came out with some other good news today as well. So again, make sure you have the right time series. And the reason that's important, we'll get to in a minute. But before we do, we'll talk about New York, New York. Now, for the last 4 years or so, New York is very anti-crypto. But look what just happened. Obviously, they have a new mayor. Mayor Eric Adams has built New York City the center of cryptocurrency industry, and he's accepted his first paycheck in Bitcoin, all that other good stuff. Now, if you look at this data, you will see in 2021, New York-based startups received 46% of all U.S. crypto funding. So New York is back, everybody. I know a lot of audience members are from New York City, so it's good to see the old financial services center of the world being back. Number 2 was Silicon Valley. Number 3, LA, Miami, kind of joined third, and a whole bunch of other places down the line. But it's interesting to see, again, these new political leaders, Mayor of New York, Mr. Adams, and you have Mayor Suarez in Miami, etc., etc. They are all the ones to watch in the future. If you are against crypto and Bitcoin, you're on the wrong side of history, and it will not be good. So that's the crypto VC news. Now, the Fidelity news, told you I get back to Fidelity. Fidelity basically came out today and said Bitcoin is a superior form of money. What could be bigger than this? Is Bitcoin possesses a lot of good qualities of money, like scarcity and durability of gold, etc. But it has the use, storage, and transportability of fiat, even better than fiat, by the way. And they said they won't be as bold as to predict there will only be ever one form of money. They stopped just short of that. They do believe that one monetary good will come to dominate the digital assets ecosystem, and one with very powerful network effects, and that is Bitcoin. So that is huge. Again, these guys manage 10 trillion. I thought it was 8 trillion, now it's 10 or 11 trillion. Big financial services player that also has a lot of influence over the government and government officials. So watch that space carefully. Now, in disruption, finance news, etc., we'll talk a bit more. This is related somewhat to Google and Google Wallet, but disruption is going to be big for Web3 and also physical payments. So Solana Pay has expanded their crypto e-commerce market. They're working with the USDC platform and Circle to find a way to create that payment mechanisms for all of the future. And this is also a frictionless payment mechanism. Imagine your companies like your big retailers losing 2.5% on credit card fees. That's huge, 2.5%. It's a huge part of your loss of margins. But Solana and Circle believe they can change this. Now, the person that's head of the Solana Labs, head of payments at Solana Labs, is Shiraz Sher, and formerly responsible for creating the Google Wallet. If you use Apple Pay, Google Pay, that same type of thing. And they believe the future is extremely bright for the adoption of this through 2022. So again, another example of how Solana will be changing the world. So now we'll switch gears, we'll go into some OCTA stuff. We're going to look at a whole bunch of charts and indicators that indicate where we believe we are going. So first of all, open interest. This is one of the few tiny things that is a little bit negative, not altogether positive. But I did a quick analysis of the Bitcoin open interest for February this month. We are in it now. And if you look at the purple on the left, they are the put positions, and the green on the right are the call option positions. First of all, the put call ratio is 0.58, so it's bullish. Second of all, if you look at all of the bearish positions, there's very, very little under 30K. So people that are hoping for 20K, the smart money is not placing any bets down there at that level during this month. So it's overall very bullish. There's a couple at 25K, but the vast majority of action is at 35,000. Remember, we're nearly 38,000 now, 39,000. And if you go out to the right, the calls, you'll see the $45,000, $50,000, $100,000 positions. And the big skew is heavy towards Bitcoin being above 40,000. in Feb 2022. We did cover yesterday that we do expect a good Feb to happen, because historically that's the case, and also we had a bad January. So that is another feather in the cap. Now, we did talk about time series very briefly. This was shared online by Greg Foss. And basically, time series is so important, but this is a hypothetical growth, assuming you bought one Bitcoin for $768 on January 1st, 2014, and held it to today, or to 26th of January, 2022. But if you were in and out, if you missed the 7 best days in the market, instead of having $37,000, $38,000, $39,000, you would only have $9,800. If you missed the best 14 days, you would only have $3,600. If you missed the best 21, $1,400, and the best 28 days, $654. So again, try not to time the market. Try not getting in, get out. A lot of people are doing that right now, and that is just, unless you really know what you're doing, it's not going to work out, and this proves that right. So let's talk about Plan B for a second. Plan B came out with his updated stock to flow model. So Bitcoin price is now 62% off the stock to flow price. So the question is the model broken, or is Bitcoin selling at a 62% discount? If you look at the history of the stock to flow model, it's been incredibly accurate, but it's broken down, which again tells me this is a historically good time to buy. So let's talk about whales. What are the whales doing? Smart money. Let's have a look. So Will Clemente was on top of this last week, and we saw some of it happening on Glassnode too. And the whale activity from last week was fairly heavy buying. If you look at the actual purple accumulation, it's up and to the right, and this is where they are stacking. And the whale map uncovered what appears to be renewed market confidence among those large bounces, those acquiring between 100 Bitcoin and 10,000 Bitcoin. So again, whales are back, and they're gobbling it up fast. Now, to confirm that as well, if you look at the illiquid supply, this continues up and to the right. 58,000 Bitcoin per month is leaving the market. It's going into cold storage. 58,000. It's not much out there, but at that rate, as I said, by the end of this year, it could be gone. Supply crunch is coming. We just don't know when it's going to hit. Now, despite the sell-off as well, the exchange balances continue to fall. That's the orange line at the bottom. It just goes down, 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 down incessantly with the price action. So this just, same old stuff. And this one is probably a very good ratio for us to look at. The NVT, it was originally created by Willy Woo, and it uses a 90-day moving average of the transaction volume instead of the raw data. Now, since the 2018 bottom, NVT has fallen below 20, only 4 times. And recently it did so on January 24th, when a low of 16.9 was reached. That's the little black box on the right. So historically, anytime it fell to these levels has been a great, great time to buy. And a lot of smart money is actually buying right now. The whales are buying. They know. So let's look at another indicator that shows it's a good time. And again, Will Clemente was also talking about this, is Coin Day Destroyed. It's available on Glassnode. And it shows the spending from older coins, and they are not being spent. Basically, there's nothing happening but accumulation of Bitcoin. Zero spending, zero selling by the big guys. Now, this one is another very good bottom indicator. This is the EADF, which is the Entity Adjusted Dormancy Flow on-chain oscillator. It says no downside. So if you look at the history of the last 4 years or so, you will see it nailed the bottom of the bear market in 2018. It also shows you C19, the middle gray arrow I added there when the pandemic hit and Bitcoin fell down. And now we are at an even lower level than we were back in March 2020. And again, 4th levels in history. Now the midline, the gray midline there, typically if we are above that, that's the time to be cautious. But now we're way, way, way below it, which is typically indicative of very healthy market condition and very good buying opportunity as well. So let's look at the Bitcoin chart real quick. This is the Bitcoin trend line. Now we are 82 days down now in this particular cycle from the top. And we're trying to smash through 39K. We got above it today a little bit for a little while. It just didn't quite have enough gas. It did appear like the sellers were exhausted, but they came back. Now we do need to reclaim this. And then after that, we need to get back to our second step, which is the 42K kind of area. So we keep knocking at that glass. We've hit it 5 times now. I thought it broke today. Not yet, but we're getting close. And remember, once it moves fast. Now the recovery from the low of 32,970, just shy of 33K, is butting up against that trend line as well, as you can see. So what I did was I have the second step, which is the 42K. I have the 39K beneath that, and then the down descending line with the bumps that we have had trying to get through it. It's also important to note we had our death cross, which is indicated with the red and blue, the red crossing the blue. And this is where we are. Now, there is another interesting thing that has some people very, very nervous, is this resistance level, this downward level of resistance is also coinciding with the 20-day moving average. But I'm not that concerned about that at all. Sometimes people have to see 2 things at the same time and make it'll be harder to crack, but I don't think it's a concern. Let's look at Solana and what they've been up to. So again, like Bitcoin had their death cross, everything's having a death cross right now because of the weak market. Solana is 45% off from a month ago, but it did shoot up 26% in the last 26 hours, which is big. And we'll see where it goes. I think the death cross will be a nothing burger, so I'm not at all concerned about it. But what is really cool to see with Solana is this. This is from Sentiment, their Sandbase, and it looks at the development activity, and they pull all of this in from GitHub as a real-time feed. And the number of daily GitHub submissions are listed here at 504 Solana GitHub submissions a day. This is versus 190 a year ago. And remember, if you look at Ethereum, it's flat. Bitcoin is up slightly. But the development activity for Ethereum is 142 versus Solana 504. And remember, Ethereum is supposed to be working on the ETH 2.0, which is now gone, by the way. They've gotten rid of that name. And as I always said, Solana is already bigger, better, faster than ETH 2.0, and ETH 2.0 isn't even baked. We don't know when we're going to get it, and it probably won't happen this year. So if you just consider that as an example, I always say the importance of follow the developers, look at the development activity. That's where the growth is in the chain. This crushes everything, if you weren't already a believer. So we looked at all the other chains as well, but Ethereum is probably one of the best ones to benchmark it against right now. So again, Solana's 3.5 times the development activity of Ethereum. Vitalik, what's going on, man? Anyway, speaking of Google for a second, just to switch gears, as you guys know, Google is my second biggest position that is not crypto. My 2 big equity positions are Tesla number 1, Google number 2. And this earnings news just came out after the market, and I just want to touch on it here because it has a very important aspect. First of all, their earnings are completely blowout, like 35-40% above. Huge growth rates, revenue, profitability, etc. This, just like Tesla, is an extreme cash cow. Now, what this chart indicates is a couple of snipe zones that we've been talking about for many, many months. I was urging people, get in if you can, $2,500. We actually had a really, really nice dip all the way down to $2,480. So we actually hit the 25, went under the 2,500, but it was very short-lived. It was only there for a few hours. But here we are now. The cool thing is not only the crazy news, but the spike in after hours. Google's up nearly $200 in after hours. It's going to be knocking on the door of 3,000, I reckon, tomorrow. But they announced a 20-for-1 stock split. So if you have something like a Leap option on Google, like I do, and I also have some equity on it too, that one contract becomes 20 contracts. So every time after the split, the price of Google goes up by $1, you make $2,000. So it's a very nice thing to be in a position on if you can, not financial advice. But what a stock split does, just to remind everybody, it doesn't impact anything to do with the company. It just makes it cheaper for retail investors to buy it. because they couldn't afford a $3,000 a share, or sometimes people just turned off by expensive stuff. And I know people was like, oh, I'm not going to buy Bitcoin, it's too expensive. So there is that mentality always. But now Google will be selling for about $150, which will open it up to a lot more retail investors. And a lot of people will also speculate pre-split to get access to the pre-split run. There's always a small post-split duck, so watch the timing in that as we go forward. But that is huge news for Google. Now, the other thing that's very important about the stock split, again, they haven't split since, I think, 2004, 2005, last time I remember. But this will open the door for other stock splits. Think Amazon, think Tesla to split again, now that these guys have taken the plunge. So when Google does something, it becomes acceptable. So that's it. Now, a little bit of Nvidia news. Still evading me. I did want to buy Nvidia, I said all year, last year, $200. And we fell, this is so annoying, to about $208. I was planning to get in about 201, so I missed by $7. And now it's about 260 again. So that is the Nvidia. Great looking chart. Those guys are going places. But again, I will be very patient and I will wait. And if it's not meant to be, that's okay. I've got my Tesla and my Google anyway. So speaking of Ethereum, getting back to crypto, wrap this up real quick. You'll see Ethereum is up 30% in a week. It's had a very, very big move. It is showing some deflationary action out there too with the burn. And we'll see. Now, Ethereum, you can see they've also had a death cross. It looks like everything is having a death cross these days. So no big surprise there. But we're very far under the 200-day moving average and even the 0.5 fib level. So a lot of room to go. A lot of things are very, very much oversold. So expect some good action coming over the next month or so. Now, final note is Polygon MATIC. This normally keeps pace with Ethereum or lags just a little bit behind it, as you can see from the chart. But orange is the Ethereum line chart, and MATIC is the red and green. You can see it's lagging behind at least 15 to 20%. So what this tells me is MATIC should be trading closer to $2 right now, not $1.60 where it is today. So it is falling behind Ethereum, and it's going to pop soon. That's what the chart tells me and experience tells me. So with that, everybody, I hope you like the content and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'm pretty sure we're not doing questions today, but thank you all for being here, and I will see you all soon. Bye.